the president of baseball operations with the New York Mets, David Stearns, about set to join us. And, man, have they been busy this winter.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish it. He finished with a flurry.
It was a lot of hand-wringing among the fan base when the departures hit early. And then, as Harold mentions, that was more than compensated for with a flurry of acquisitions later on in the offseason, including brand names like Simeon, like Devin Williams, Lou Bob, Bo Bichette, kind of the cherry on top of the cake, in addition to a guy who we assume is going to be their opening day starter, Freddie Peralta. David Stearns joins us on the program. David, good morning. Thanks for the time. Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, David, real quick off the top, did you have Peralta in Milwaukee?
We did, yeah. Yeah, we acquired him when I was there. I got to see him grow up, have known him since he was a teenager. Really special person, really good pitcher, and we're happy to have him.
So there's been nothing official on opening day starters and rotations for the season and the bell ringing. When do we expect that? And would we be, recklessly speculating if we were to say that Freddie has a pretty good chance to start on opening day, March 26th?
I'll let Mendy handle any official announcements, but we acquired Freddie certainly to pitch at or near the top of our rotation. That doesn't feel like wildly reckless speculation, but I'll let Mendy handle how we're going to set this thing up.
Fair enough.
So, Dave, it's been a wild and bumpy road for you, but you put the club together. I know you went through a lot of different conversation in New York, being in the New York market, but you grew up out here, so you knew it was going to be a little nuts. As you look back, putting the pieces together, what did you have a plan how you were going to sit through this and try to make it work? And did it work to that affection, or did you have to make adjustments along the way?
When you go into an offseason, this has been true every year of my career, not just this past year. You go in with a bunch of different paths that an offseason can take, and you never know exactly which path is going to emerge. Some of it's in our control, and some of it's going to be out of our control. We don't know what trade partners are going to emerge at the front end of the offseason. We don't really know what free agent players are going to be available, what their markets are going to be. And so it took us a little time to evaluate all of that, but we did go into the offseason knowing that we weren't going to run back the same group, that it was time for some change on our roster, some change in our organization. We did not meet our expectations last year. We didn't really come close to it, and we got to do better. And that was everything we did this offseason was an effort to do better, and I think we're going to.
Personnel changes, and you went through that. And I would imagine some philosophical changes too, David, because you've done this for many years, and I know that I always enjoy visiting with player executives and talking about the work that goes into pre-spring training and maybe a shift in emphasis. Some teams are focusing on limiting opposing slug. Some teams are focusing on ways to increase the running game. What kind of a philosophical change would we see from the 2026 Mets from a kind of big picture?
Well, I think first and foremost, we got to get better defensively. And that's something we talked a lot about this offseason. We just were not a good enough defensive club last year. Certainly the last 2 months, we played very poorly defensively. And that motivated a lot of the changes that we made throughout the offseason. Specifically, getting a little bit more consistent defensively up the middle was a priority for us. And we think we've done that. And in terms of emphasis as we head into spring training, that's going to continue to be a major point of focus for us. Our work here in camp, a lot of it is going to be defensively oriented. It's going to be the little things. It's making sure we don't give extra bases away. We don't give outs away. We need to do all the little things right to help out our pitching staff, and I think we're making progress towards that.
Hey, David, I've talked about how you're changing the roster around. So you have some what-ifs on the roster. I want to ask you about Batty, how he's doing, Ventos, Louis Robert. How are they fitting in? What are you seeing? And is it what you were expecting them to be at this point?
Yeah, we were able to bring in some guys and acquire some guys who have sort of proven professional leadership and winning capabilities. And you mentioned a number of them who have either played or pitched in big moments, in big games consistently throughout their careers, have done it well, have the ability to lower their heartbeats in the biggest of moments. And I think we are beginning to see here some of those conversations emerge. Guys getting to know each other. A lot of these guys have pre-existing relationships even before they showed up in camp, which has made the transitions, I think, smoother for a lot of them. And it's been good. And we've added some veterans who I think are going to fit in really well to our clubhouse, help add a really focused demeanor. And I'm excited to see it take shape.
I guess related to that, David, is the idea that you can come to camp as a player who's not a guaranteed blue chipper and maybe win a job. And maybe 25 years ago, players could do that. It feels like it's harder to do now. So you could answer this from a Mets perspective or league-wide. What are the odds that a guy can win a job at spring training?
That's a great question. I do think it's probably tougher now to come out of nowhere in spring training and win a job than even when I started in the industry 20 years ago. We've changed how we look at spring training a little bit from an area of true competition to a time of preparation and getting ready for your season, wherever your season may begin. With that said, we're going into camp this year, and we do have a couple spots on both sides of the ball, both in our bullpen and in our position player grouping, that do have some competition where we don't know where it's going to go. Now, the universe of players that is competing for those spots are pretty defined. So we'll select out of that defined universe in terms of who's actually going to make the club. But every year we probably go to camp with 1 or 2 or 3 spots on our roster that we're going to determine in spring training. And the other part of this, and this is another part of the game that's evolved a ton, certainly in my time in front offices, is just the number of transactions we make over the course of the year. And so I tell all of our guys, the opening day is literally one day, and it's an important day, and it's meaningful to be on the line on opening day, and we all understand that. But sometimes we change our roster after one day. And so the number of players that now hit major league rosters for every team, certainly ours, but for every team, has just grown so much over the last decade that we really try to emphasize this is a 40 or 50 man endeavor to get through a major league season in a good spot.
That's really a great reminder. More true now than ever. And some of those jobs that players may be auditioning for out of camp are temporary. And that kind of takes me to this piece of information from Anthony DiComo, who put this out on social media, David. Francisco Lindor stitches out yesterday. He can restart some impact activities shortly, per Carlos Mendoza. It's the very latest on Francisco and his attempts to be out there on opening day.
Yeah, so far so good. We probably got the stitches out, frankly, a day or two before we thought we were going to be able to, which is good. As Anthony accurately reported, we're going to need a couple days here now before he can get fully back into baseball activities. But we're nearing that, and we remain optimistic that Francisco is going to be ready for opening day. I think he feels good about it. We got a month left, and so we'll see where we are.
Hey, I want to ask you about some of the guys that departed here. I want to ask you about how you replace Pete's production and how do you replace Diaz?
Yeah, so you don't replace apples to apples production when you lose really good players like that. You're trying to replace them in the aggregate of how you win baseball games, with how you're putting your roster together. Pete has been one of the best power hitters in the game for a long time. Edwin's been one of the best closers for a game in a long time. And so you don't really seek to replace those guys on a one-for-one basis. What we've tried to do is build a roster that we think is going to allow us to win games in a variety of different ways. We've gotten a little bit more well-rounded in our skill set offensively. We've got some real platoon neutrality throughout our bullpen now, which excites us. It gives Mendy a number of different options at different aspects of the game. So I think those one-for-one replacements are really difficult, but hopefully we've done a good enough job of building a well-rounded roster that allows us to win games in any type of game that we find ourselves in.
So the National League East is a beast, man. It's going to be tough to win 90 games this year. What number do you think it's going to end up being you got to get to, you feel like, to be a playoff club coming out of the East?
I'm not that smart, Harold. I'm not that smart to know what the number is. our goal is to be the best versions of ourselves. And I think if we are the best version of the 26 New York Mets, we're going to be a really good team. We're going to be a playoff team. We're going to be a World Series contender. So our focus needs to stay on our organization, the guys in our locker room. And I think if we do that, we're going to be just fine.
David, we appreciate the time today, man. Know how busy you are during camp, so we really appreciate you carving out a few moments with us. Enjoy the rest of camp. Good luck this year.